Semi-retired Bob here. I talk about the carnivore diet, all things related to the carnivore diet, and miscellaneous odds and ends. Welcome to today's live Q&A, talking about whatever you guys want to ask questions about, and it has been 1 year since I started walking. Let me know that you can hear me out there. Of course, Craig and Addicted to Antlers have been going at it in the comments already. And Carnivore, Charger Mopar, the 4-year Carnivore, is here. Jeannie is here. She made alive again, sitting poolside on a glorious day in Connecticut. Absolutely. Hello to you. Once again, just let me know you can hear me while we're waiting to hear if I can be heard. Hello, Dan. Sorry, I'm not intentionally getting names wrong, and I'm not looking away from you. For those of you that are new to the stream, my big monitor is over here, so when I turn this way, I'm actually reading stuff on the big monitor so that where I can actually see you. Right in front of me underneath the camera is my small laptop, so I can't really read those comments very well. So that's what's going on. And Mike is here. Hello, Mike. I'm glad you're here. And he says he can hear me, which is great. Jason is here from Just Jason Keto. Thank you very much. Thunderstorms here. Power may go off at any time. And Carnivore Transformer is here. Hello, how are you today? And your volume is fine. While we're waiting for a few more people to stop in, let me back up the train here all the way back to 1 year ago today. This is what you saw.
Good morning, everybody. It is September the 1st. I know the video quality is probably a little off because I'm outside, but it's 1% September.
I hope you liked that short little clip. We have quite a few more of those as the day goes on today. Craig says, Bob, I had 9,000 steps in before 7 a.m. was using you as my inspiration. I don't know how that works out, Craig, because I'm not out of bed before 7 a.m. except yesterday when I took a friend to the doctor's office. I try not to get up that early, but that's great. I'm glad you're getting out there, getting it done early, because the more you do first thing in the morning, the less likely other stuff is going to come and get in the way. Because things do get in the way. I heard an interesting one. What was it? Have to try and find it, but something like, if you'd promised your best friend that you would help them, in whatever way, you would 99.9% of the time, you're going to go do that thing that you promised your best friend you would do because your word means something. Yet, so many people find any excuse they have to not get their steps in, not eat right, do all of the wrong stuff, and then, you just don't get it done. Therefore, they were saying, become your own best friend so that you do stuff for yourself and you stick to it for yourself. I see Bert has arrived. Hello, Bert. I'm in time for your live for change. I'm glad you're here, Bert. Yeah, this is the early week, and then remember next week we'll be back at the evening time slot. I've been experimenting with this rotating back and forth thing. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to try it for this month. And then if one time slot is doing significantly better than the other, that's probably the time slot I'll pick. But so far, they all look to be about the same. And Karsten is here. Hello, Karsten. I'm glad you made it. He says, wow, you can hear the effort in your voice in that old clip. Yeah, that was the first one that I did. Be sure and watch tomorrow's video because I rewalked the distance I did in that first video at the start of tomorrow's video. I think tomorrow should be pretty awesome, and today should be pretty awesome. Lightning is getting more frequent. Yeah, because you're down there in hurricane country again. Did the hurricane already go through? Is it going through now, or is it? Keep us posted there, Rick. I don't know what's. I just don't keep up with that kind of stuff. I know there was a hurricane coming through there, and of course, you'd think it was the worst hurricane in the history of the world. Listening to the news talk about it the other day as it was coming in, so you never know what to think. Bypass Carnivore is here. Hello. How are you today? This looks like a cold front. Maybe we'll be 90 degrees instead of 96. Yeah, awesome. I didn't do my steps today. Didn't even leave my apartment. That's okay. Things happen. Some days you just don't get out of the apartment, depending on where you're at, what the weather's like, how you're feeling. There's lots of things that add up that can deter us from doing things. We just have to remember to do what we can. What is that reflection? Is that on my glasses, or that must just be the light where it's hitting my glasses. But yeah, it just depends on, there's a lot of different things that can derail us for the day. And sometimes it's not a bad thing to get derailed. We don't want it to happen very often, but we do want to maintain as much as we possibly can. And remember, doing 15 minutes of exercise is better than sitting on the couch all day, even if it's just standing up and sitting down at your desk 15 or 20 times. That's still better than just sitting there all day. Just some things to think about. Let's see here. You are correct. I let myself down frequently, would never do that to a friend. Here you go. Oh, hurricane update. The hurricane passed by on Wednesday. Not a big problem other than the power out. Excellent. I'm guessing your power was out, but now it's back on, or you have a backup generator. I'm not sure, but I'm glad you're obviously have some form of power because you're making comments on this video today. So I'm glad you're okay there, Rick. Did you see Dr. Lisa Wiedemann is streaming a carnivore meetup website? It's for all groups to post meetups wherever they are. I have not seen that yet. I'll have to look into it. I know Chris at Keto Chow operates a website where if you send it to him, he will put it up on his website. I believe it's called Low Carb Meetups. But yeah, if we've got two different places to check for meetups, that's great. And if this may be just carnivore as opposed to low carb keto. So that could be something worth looking into. And we're up to 16 people in here. Let's go ahead and take another step into the Wayback Machine. We're going to go all the way back now and see where I was at the very start of this journey. Hello everyone, semi-retired Bob here. Welcome back to the channel. Before I get into today's topic, I'm going to give you a very brief recap of what happened to me over the last year and some change and why I haven't made any videos because of it. And then, so what do you think of that? That was me in my first carnivore video. Yeah. When do you think you'll be going to your new Texas property? I have actually been thinking about that. My sister wants me to visit in late October in Ohio, but I don't think I'm going to make it because that's a long way out of the way. I think I'm going to target the first week in November of getting down there. I wanted to be there a little earlier because I've got some friends stopping by the second week in November, and they were going to help me do some work, but I just don't think I'm going to get out of here. Part of The delay is that I have been cutting my own grass this year, and I want to wait probably through October to let most of the leaves come down so that I can get the fall cleanup done before I head south, so that when I come back in the spring, I don't have near as much to do here when I get back. Again, we'll see how it goes. I may not get out of here and get headed down to Texas until the first week in November or so. We'll just have to see how it goes. But I'm thinking it's going to be the last week of October or the first week of November. Like I said, we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Yes, that was big changes. Carnivore Park. Yep, started out as quite the fatty. Yes, I did. And bypass Carnivore, I remember that. Man, you've come a long way. I have. I'm willing to admit that I've come a long way in 16 months. And even just with the walking. I've been walking for a year now. Oops, I skipped one there. Interesting how your voice has changed as you downside. Yeah, I think, everything changes as you lose that much weight. And while I have never had sleep apnea, I think I was so fat through the throat that it was constricting my vocal cords, and that could be part of why the voice has changed. Your face has gotten thinner, but your metal rush sign has not changed. Well, the metal rush sign has not changed since about 1970. I think I got that in 76 or 77. Longer than most people watching this have been alive, except for a few that I know are older. Bob's another nail in the coffin of the sad diet promoters. Yeah, if only we could get a couple of 100,000 more nails in that coffin. Carson, could you have done the Texas project before Carnivore? No, not. I wouldn't have even considered it. I had often, prior to, getting sick, two of the things I'd often thought about when I was back in the Army back in the 80s, I was going to through hike the Appalachian Trail and then buy a piece of land and build my own house and do all that kind of stuff. And then life and sickness got in the way. No, I wouldn't have even considered buying land in Texas even a year ago. And now I own it. It's mine. Good plan. That way it won't be so darn hot in Texas. Yeah, that's part of it. And I do plan on, my camera. Come on, camera. Wake up. There we go. I do plan on moving down there full time some point in the next 5 years. I was just talking to a friend of mine about this. Because sometime in the next 5 years, Dave, the owner of the miniature golf course, is going to say I've had enough, because he's still like a year out from his wife being able to retire. And then from there, I don't know if he's going to try and find somebody to sell the course to. That's not super likely. My guess is that at some point he's just going to get tired and walk away from it, since he has the land there on a lease rather than owning it. And at that point, there won't be a whole lot keeping me here in Omaha. And I'm hoping to have my house mostly finished by the time that happens, so that when I move to Texas full time, I will at least have the container on site and the insulation in place and the solar system in place, so that I can keep it, the heating and the cooling going year round, and not have to worry about using so much energy. Because the way I'm planning on building that, it shouldn't take a whole lot of heat or a whole lot of AC to keep the temperature in the shipping container fairly constant. So we'll see how it goes. Bypass Carnivore. I remember when you walked down your driveway to the stop sign and right back to your drive again. Now look at you. Yes, indeed. That's where that first one was. And before I go on to the next comments, let's go ahead and take a look at, you saw the last clip that was from when I started. Let's go back and take a look at just 2 weeks later on that. Hello everyone, Semi-Retired Bob here. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I am Semi-Retired Bob. I'm primarily a travel and landscape photographer, but I've been ill for a while and haven't been able to get out and do anything. There's another one. Yes, indeed. Here we are back again. Let's see what we got here. On day 10 of walking and strict carnivore. Just keep going. That's good. 10 days is a great start. If you can do that for another 20 days, you'll be at the 30-day mark, and that will make it more of a routine than a chore. And then if you keep at it for 90 days, it'll become a habit to where after 90 days, if you decide that you're not going to go out and walk that day, you'll feel like you're missing something rather than doing something by not walking. But yes, huzzah. I think that a reason many people don't listen to me is because I have no transformation to show. I hardly change appearance. It could be, but I think as you get more and more exposure, I don't know what your channel's been doing recently, but you would think as more and more people become aware that there is a 40-year carnivore out there, that they would want to go check things out. The short answer is for now, no. We'll see what tomorrow brings, but for now, no. And while we're waiting for some more questions to come in, let's go ahead. I did that one, and that one. Let's go ahead and see. This, I believe, was on January.
If this is your first time here, welcome to the channel. The main purpose of these videos is to show you firsthand that it's never too late to make improvements to your life. I started the carnivore diet just a little less than 7 months ago.
Okay, let's see here. We have another comment. I started doing the jumping jacks that you suggested twice per week. Yeah, those are tough. I've noticed that, I worry about people that just jump right in jogging and running and sprinting and doing that kind of stuff, because I think doing the jumping jacks and running in place will, for people out my age, because it's been so long since I could do stuff like that, I can feel it in my joints. Even the little bit of jarring you get from jumping jacks is hitting me in the joints. I'm hoping that over the course of time, I will notice that less and less and less. And once I've been doing that for 3 or 4 months, perhaps I can then start to do a little jogging outside. But I worry about people that are just jumping right into jogging and sprinting, because trying to do that much that quick could be bad for your joints. Hi all, any opinions on yearly vaccination recommendations? No. I am not willing to make an opinion on any of that kind of stuff. I will say the vaccinations that were available back when I was getting out of the Army, so back in the early 80s, those were actually tried, tested, and they are vaccines. They actually prevent things. I would seriously consider those. Anything that is less than 20 years old that has come in under the new guidelines, I would think very carefully about, because I don't know what the testing procedures are like. Let's, this one here says, I don't get any vaccines personally, almost 60, so far so good. I have gotten a flu shot on occasion. Right after my heart surgery, they convinced me it was a good idea, but I have not had a flu shot in a couple of years now. And I've been doing just fine. I think it all depends on your personal physiology, how much exposure risk you have, all that kind of stuff. But again, I'm just not going to comment a whole lot on vaccines because I have a very strong opinion about them, but I'm not going to get into those. I have a fat friend who's younger than me and has already had a heart attack, and I have sent him your videos. Excellent. Hopefully it helps him out just a little bit. Bart K ripped his Achilles tendon at the beginning of his cricket season. Yeah. That's, you need to move into doing this kind of stuff slowly, which is why even in yesterday's video, even though I'd already been out for my walk that day and got warmed up that way, I still did a few moments of step out, step in sort of walking before I did the jumping jacks. And then I marched in place again before I did the running in place, because you got to get warmed up. You got to make sure that those tendons are doing okay, because yes, Professor K, who's in fairly good shape, managed to rip his Achilles because he was playing cricket. And bypass carnivore, same here. Mike, I know what you mean, Rick. Seems like popularity is associated with the amount of health issues or amount of weight you have to lose. However, I enjoy your content. You're more active on YouTube. Yeah. And it's just a matter of people finding you. I know people find my videos the same way. Give me just a second. I need a little drink of water here. The same way I found Dante, or for the same reason I clicked on Dante's video all those months ago, is because he had a before and after picture. And that, unfortunately, that's just the way it is, until you can come up with something. Maybe try putting some pictures of your ducks in your thumbnails, Rick. That might help. Make a thumbnail with a duck and, put a cute little pet duck on it, with you holding one and petting it in the thumbnail, and then you showing how to cook it in the video. Just a thought. Yeah, it is better for the joints. However, there's also a lot of YouTubers that I trust have been saying that, the health benefits from 10 to 15 seconds of sprinting twice is undeniable. I mean, Dr. O'Mara says that if he could only do one thing, he would choose sprinting. And I understand your concern on joints, but yeah, and I have up to my pace on walking as well. But the main thing that I'm trying to work on here is not so much my visceral fat, because I believe that's gone, but I need something a little more burst to try and get more cardiovascular fitness in my heart, because I just, even with all the walking I've done, I don't feel like my heart has made as many gains as the rest of me has, which is why I've started doing the jumping jacks and the running in place. And again, doing those on my carpeted floor with my tennis shoes on works out pretty well on my joints. And in listening to, I can't remember the guy's name, but he's the designer of the X3 bar that I met and talked with at the Omaha Hard to Kill Summit. His mom had osteoporosis, and he invented a machine that made her joints stronger by doing like quick compression on the joints. And that little bit of, according to his research, I'm no expert, I'm not doing science, but his research shows that getting that little bit of a bang into the joints actually helps reduce the inflammation and makes the bones in that joint stronger over time. So it's one of those things that I don't know the science on, but I'm going to give it a try for a while and see what happens. Now, if I get to the point where doing jumping jacks or running in place starts to make my joints hurt, I'll stop. And all of the things trying to go faster on walking is one of the things I have been incorporating, but it's been so blasted hot. It's really hard to get very far when you're out there walking in this humidity. That's one of the reasons why I'm ready to get down to Texas, because hot or cold, there's not going to be any humidity at my property in Texas out in the middle of the desert. And Rick says, I've not had a vaccine since I was a child, grew up poor, and had sporadic health care. So there's an answer for you from there. And Sandra is here, one of our channel members. Hello, Sandra. I'm glad you're here. Hi, y'all. My doctor recommended exercise, specifically weight-bearing exercise. I'm slowly adding some weight-bearing exercise to my walking. Yeah, and I mean, you can even just take, to start off with, just to add a little extra weight to your walking, you can grab one of those cloth grocery bags and throw a couple pieces of canned goods in there, or whatever you happen to have laying around the house, to add a little weight to it. Or you can get yourself a little backpack and throw a little weight in there. And for weight-bearing exercises, if you go back several months in the video, I did some wall push-ups and some countertop push-ups and that kind of stuff. Anything like that will also add some weight-bearing to you. Thanks again for being a member, Sandra. I really appreciate that. Craig, your Cornhuskers looked much better. Hadn't fumbled and thrown 3 interceptions. They're not my Cornhuskers. I happen to reside in Nebraska. You know full well that my team is the Ohio State University. In fact, I even made a post last night that said, yep, looks like the same old Cornhuskers snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. That's been their MO. They haven't really been good for almost 30 years now, since Tom Osborne retired. I know it seems like it hasn't been that long ago, but it's been about 30 years since Nebraska had a really good football team. And an interesting side note that they were talking about last night, for those of you that are interested at all in football, Georgia, they're going for a three-peat in national championships this year. This came up because Nebraska was playing Minnesota last night. And the last team to win 3 national championships in a row was Minnesota. Now, I don't remember what they said the year was, but it was, probably back in the leather helmet days. But it just goes to show how hard it is. It's very hard just to win 2 in a row, but to win 3 in a row is darn near impossible. And I don't actually look for Georgia to do it. I see someone sent a super chat. It's hanging out there at the top. Hopefully I get down to that here pretty quick. What do we got here? Oh, that was Craig's. Rain is over. Definitely a cold front. Very rare for September. Yes, I enjoyed seeing jumping jacks and running. Small steps at a time. Keep it up. Yeah, you do what you can, as long as the motto of my channel, 1% better, as long as you do just a little bit more each day. Like I told somebody in the comments of, I think it was in Sean's Facebook group, but they just said, I finally did it. I got a 5-minute walk in today. Now, for most of us, a 5-minute walk doesn't seem like much, but if you haven't been able to walk at all, a 5-minute walk is a big deal. And I, of course, congratulated her, said, that is fantastic. Now the target for tomorrow is see if you can take a 5-minute and 10-second walk. So if you can just, if you're at that level, just adding 10 seconds to what you're doing over the course of time will slowly build up. And that's what today's live stream is all about, to show you what can happen in a year. For those that are returning late, let me go back and show you what it looked like at the start of my walking challenge exactly 1 year ago today.
Good morning, everybody. It is September the 1st. I know video quality is probably a little off because I'm outside, but it's 1% September.
There you go. That was 1 year ago today. I have been the choice of a few up-and-coming carnivores for their first interview. Excellent. Excellent. Craig Bob's living in pink. It's the one I've got. It's metal. You know, everybody was getting on me about plastic. This is the one non-plastic cup I own right now. And I bought the pink and white one because it was several dollars cheaper than any of the other colors, because that's the way I roll. Rick's videos are great because they have minimal editing, honest and not staged. Yeah, that's what I like. Carnivore Scott's here. Hello, Carnivore Scott. I'm glad you're here. Let's see here. Have you had a CAC test? Several of them. I have no idea what they say. My cardiologist doesn't release that type of information. I can tell you that he does that every time you go to your office. And the last 2 times I've been in there, he said, you're doing just fine. In fact, you've gotten better. So what the actual numbers are, I don't care. My cardiologist is happy. I'm happy. I know I'm healthier than I was a year ago. I don't put much stock in the actual numbers anymore. I know my cardiologist was pleased enough with my visit this spring that he took me off my last medication. So that's really, you know, as far as what my CAC numbers are, he never really said. I mean, he did the thing right after I got out of the hospital from my triple bypass surgery, and I forget what my ejection fraction was, but it wasn't very good, but it was better than it was before I had the triple bypass. And this last time he said, everything looks fantastic. Your grafts look like they're in good shape, and your ejection fraction is almost perfect again, and your valve is not leaking nearly as much as it was. So that's, as far as what the actual numbers are, I have no idea. Because of Rick's video, I cook slices of beef in water sometimes. Yeah, Rick has some great cooking ideas. You'd have to call an ambulance for me if I tried to sprint. I barely made it back up the hill from the fishing dock that I walked to yesterday. I understand. Well, don't try to sprint right away. You know, I've been walking for a year, and I just started doing the jumping jacks and running in place a couple of weeks ago. It hasn't been that long. So just work on walking for now. And then when you feel like you want to up your game a little bit, try walking a little faster or walking a little farther. That's what I've been doing for a year. I'm just now to the point where walking a little farther and walking a little faster are still great, but I need to do a little something more too. Yeah, or cooking on the engine. If you have not seen Rick's engine cooking video, you really need to check that out. That's a good one. I saw that, but no car here. I suspect shock to the joints creates an environment whereby adaptation demands the joints become adapted. I would guess. Like I said, I'm no scientist, but that's probably what's happening. I do know that after a year of working out of using the machine that he designed for her, she no longer had osteoporosis. So there must be something to putting the compression shock on the joints. And there he is. It was Carnivore Scott. Thank you, Carnivore Scott, for the $5 super chat. That is great. I really appreciate that. That means an awful lot to an old retired guy on a fixed income. And Mike says, every time I do sprints, I think of it as hunting for my prey. Every time I do heavy lifts, of carrying that prey back home. Yes, indeed. That's not a bad way of looking at it, Mike. And I'm so far behind on comments, I have no idea what you're talking about when I say I got that right, Bob, but there it is. The Solich curse. And I was just talking about this. They put the graphic up last night, the highest winning percentage that they've had since Tom Osborne has been Frank Solich. And while that wasn't good enough for Nebraska, Frank Solich ended up at one of my alma maters, Ohio University in Athens, Ohio. There is a statue out in front of the stadium to him now because he took the program where the program has never been before. Not the main drive in front of the stadium, but the small road that goes around behind the stadium and circles the South Green is now Frank Solich Drive, I believe is the name of it. And it's Frank Solich is a hero in Athens, Ohio, because he did so much for them there that the people of Nebraska just did not appreciate. Yeah, it's really hard to three-peat, and well, we know they're not going to get any competition from Florida because Florida just got taken to the woodshed by Utah last night. Bob can buy more sardines with the savings he got on purchasing the girl-colored bottle. Yeah, maybe a few. I never understood spectator sports. I need to invent my own sport. How about in iguana catching? Yeah, I know some people aren't into sports. I totally get that, Rick. I love football. I grew up on football. My dad played football for Ohio State. And football has always been a big deal around the houses that I've been in. Let's see here. Wouldn't having and developing a YouTube channel be a spectator sport? Okay. Sylvie's here. Oh my goodness, what a major change since last year. Yes, indeed. And Jeannie would like to learn how to cook duck. There you go. There's some thoughts for you there. A duck cooking video. Rocky Balboa was chasing chickens. Rick, it should be chasing ducks and iguanas. There you go. Okay, let's see here. Oh, I think I'm finally catching up on showing his... no. That would be a really short channel showing my scientific expertise. I'm old retired guy trying to grow a YouTube channel. Yes, indeed. Yeah, and those of you that haven't subscribed to Carnivore Scott yet, he has a channel. Go check him out. Sandra's here. Hello, Sandra. Late but here. I'm going to show you a couple of clips here. I'm going to go back to the original where I started my YouTube channel, and then something not quite so far back.
Hello everyone, semi-retired Bob here. Welcome back to the channel. Before I get into today's topic, I'm going to give you a very brief recap of what happened to me over the last year and some change and why I haven't made any videos because of it. And then
today we're going to talk about just a few things. I apologize if the video flops out of view every once in a while. I got back to Omaha yesterday and I'm still sorting and unpacking, and I can't find where I put my selfie stick yet. So I'm using my old mini tripod. And that last clip that you just saw, that was back when I first got home from North Carolina this spring. You can see the difference in my face, and my waist is definitely smaller, but that's what I'm talking about when you have to have vitamin P, patience, because if you look at the scale, there's basically no difference between then and now. It goes up a couple of pounds, then down a couple of pounds, and up a couple of pounds, down a couple of pounds. I've been basically the same weight since that time. when you saw that video. But lots of things have changed body composition wise since then. So I feel like I've still gained a lot of positive progression since that time. Let's see here. Tim Albin, the head football coach at Ohio University, was in my graduating high school class. He had hair back in those days. Excellent. Yeah. And, I got to meet Frank Solich a few times roaming around Athens, Ohio, because, there was a big story that ran out here in Nebraska. It never really got much press in Ohio, but there was a big story about how they think they dodged a bullet because Frank Solich was picked up for drunk driving his first winter in Ohio. Well, what people don't know about Ohio University in Athens, Ohio, is that the weekend before Thanksgiving, they shut down, and there's no classes from Thanksgiving till after the first of the year. Believe me when I tell you, there is nothing to do in Athens, Ohio between Thanksgiving and New Year's except go to the bars. There is literally nothing to do there. Minimalist Carnivores here. Hello, Minimalist. I'm glad you're here. Glad you got to jump in for a few minutes. And Jiffy is here. Been watching you since last year. Amazing. Thanks. I'm glad you're here today, Jiffy. And the Lioness Hiker. Howdy, y'all. If you guys, she has a YouTube channel as well. If you're not watching her stuff, you should. She's another one. We have a lot of people in here that have YouTube channels. Definitely go check everybody out. Minimalist Carnivore has one. Carnivore Scott has one. The Lioness Hiker has one. There's lots of people with YouTube channels in here. You should go check them all out. Let's see here. I will be half watching, but 100% listening. Alrighty. And let's see here. Tim was an assistant for Frank at Nebraska. He followed him to Ohio. Yeah, I don't keep up with it. If it's not Ohio State football, I just don't pay that much attention. I pay attention to OU just because I have a lot of friends from the Athens area. I grew up in that area. The house that I actually grew up in is much closer to Ohio University than it is to Ohio State University. But yeah, let's see here. And even just going back a couple of months, let's take a look. It's Saturday, July the 1st. Welcome to the July Challenge. I talked about this in the live stream last night, but we're going to go over it again today. First, let me say welcome to all the new people. I am glad you're here. So there we go. There's a little bit of improvement. Not huge improvement since the 1st of July, but there, I think I can notice it a little bit in my face as well. Still, but things have changed. And let's see here. Bypass Carnivore says, I've got a channel, but it's dumb. Well, that's okay. Everybody should go check out Bypass Carnivore as well. So if anybody has any questions, now is a really good time to get them in because we got about 15 minutes left before I have to call it a day on the live stream. And because I don't really... Oh, I do have one other topic I want to talk about real quick. Just a quick update because I did talk to you, that I'd gotten a grounding mat for underneath my feet while I'm sitting here at my desk. And I wasn't sure it was actually doing anything, but I've had it for about a week and a half now. And I do believe, I noticed a difference when I started going outside for 15 minutes to a half hour in the morning, grounding in my front yard while letting light into my eyes. I noticed a little difference when I added the blue blocking glasses. And I've really noticed the difference putting my feet on this grounding mat all the time I'm sitting here in front of my computer. I slept through the night last night. I did get up once because I'm an old man and still have to run to the restroom, but one trip across the hall to the restroom and sleeping from, it was about 11 o'clock when I went to bed last night and got up again about 7:30 or so this morning. I call that sleeping through the night, even though I had to get up one time. So I think the grounding mat is definitely helping. I will let you know as this experiment continues. Bealtane says, hello, how are you today? I'm glad you're here. And Rick has another comment there. So, Bob, are you getting ducks for your new place? Or is there no water for a small pond? I have zero water. Once I'm going to have ducks and chickens and probably goats eventually. That's in the 3 to 5 year plan. Right now, I had originally thought of doing a 20-foot shipping container. I'm now rethinking to where I may go to a 40-foot shipping container. The difference in cost will be the cost of building a roof over the whole thing. Whichever roof I end up building, that will be also my rain catchment system. And once I get a cistern of somewhere at about 5,000 gallons dug and in the ground where I have 5,000 gallons of storage for water, then I will consider adding livestock because I figure I need at least that much. I'd like to be able to dig 3 or 4 cisterns over the course of a couple of years and get to 20,000 gallons of storage. 20,000 gallons of storage, that will be enough to keep me in drinking water for an entire year, plus have enough to water some animals. Fill up like a little kitty-sized pool for some ducks to have a duck pond, plus let them drink and be able to feed and water some chickens and feed and water a few goats, that kind of stuff. So I do have long-range plans for ducks, chickens, goats, maybe some sheep. I've got 10 acres, maybe a cow or two at some point after I get comfortable with knowing I have enough water and food for everything else. So that's what I'm looking at now. I'm not going to do anything until I get all of my infrastructure in place, which will take somewhere between, it's my 3 to 5 year plan, because this year I'm pretty much planning on getting the shipping container on the property and perhaps starting the roof build. And then next year, I want to finish the roof and start filling earth bags to insulate the thing. And then the year after that, I'll be able to finish filling the earth bags, get the thing fully insulated, put straw bales on the roof, spray it all down in mud slip to keep the bugs out of it. And at that point is when I'll be ready to start getting livestock, because in between doing all that, I have to dig some cisterns or have enough money to buy, a 2,500 gallon to 5,000 gallon poly tank to store water in. And I don't have that kind of money. If everybody shares this video out and I keep growing, maybe at some point I'll make enough off YouTube to buy myself a 5-gallon bucket to store water in. But we'll see how it goes over the next couple of years. For the grounding, I think I put the grounding mat in my Amazon links. If not, I will fix that after this live stream is over. But I should have underneath this video in the description, there should be a link to my grounding mat. I don't remember if I put it in there or not. If not, I will here. Let me go ahead and see if I can't look that up real quick. And perhaps throw a link in the chat. Oh, now, of course, because I'm doing a live stream, everything else is running slow right now. But let's see what we've got here. There's that. There we go. Copy. There's that link. I don't know if it's going to actually work in the comments or not. I was diagnosed with insomnia and narcolepsy. I slept better since being on Carnivore than I have in years. Yes, Carnivore, there's a lot of steps. Carnivore starts the process of helping with sleep, adding blue blocking glasses after sundown helps. Earthing or grounding, whichever you want to call it, also helps. But the biggest step to improving everything is the carnivore diet. Let's see here. I went to 3 grocery stores today in an attempt to find my father some butter pecan syrup. Any tips on how to wean an 83-year-old off this liquid sugar? I would slowly, if you've got the stuff that he likes, like the butter pecan syrup, I would start by buying some of the crappy sugar substitute fake stuff and start by mixing it 3/4 the stuff he likes and 1/4 of the keto syrup. And then slowly reduce the amount of real syrup you're putting into it over the course of time. That may be a way to get started. That's sort of how I got off Diet Coke, mixing it with just straight carbonated water and slowly reducing the amount of Diet Coke that I was putting in my glass. And he sleeps with his grounded wrist strap on, did so for 2 nights now, and I feel blood flow slows down and I fall asleep faster. Yeah, it's supposed to, being grounded is supposed to reduce the viscosity of your blood by up to 3 times, which should, in theory, help your blood flow better, lower your blood pressure, do all that good stuff. And he has a grounding wrist strap. Coyotes think ducks and chickens are tasty. Yes, they do. But coyotes can be tasty too, if you cook them right. And part of making a proper chicken coop out in the desert is to make sure that they're protected from coyotes. You can't just slap together a wire fence and say that's done. You have to make sure it's reinforced against coyotes. And Antlers will tell you exactly that, because she's out there in New Mexico. And there's the link. I don't know if that, you can probably cut and paste it. I would cook a coyote and feed it to my ducks. There you go. For cooked coyote, what I really think I'm going to need first is a recipe for rattlesnake, because I expect I'll see a few of those. I'll be down there late enough in the year that I don't expect to see lots of them, but I will still probably. And I've watched all the videos about how to keep your property rattlesnake proof. There's no such thing as rattlesnake proof, but limiting their choices and places they like. Like, the first thing I'm going to do is take some really fine mesh wire and cover the gap between the bottom of my trailer and the ground, so that I don't wake up one morning and step out of my trailer to find out that there's a rattlesnake underneath the trailer. Anytime you have water sources like IBC totes, you want to make sure they're not dripping. And again, if you have them elevated, put some mesh around the bottom so snakes can't get underneath of it, because if there is a drip there, any place there's shade and water dripping is a place rattlesnakes like to find. So you just, as long as you're very careful about how you're doing things and realizing that you don't want a property full of rattlesnakes, that's how you build stuff. And I've been watching, I haven't done any of the stuff yet because I'm not down there, but I feel like I'm very well prepared for that. And you'll find a link to the blue blocker glasses are also in the description of all of my videos. I know that one's there. I remember putting that one out. I don't know if the grounding mat is there yet or not, but I will fix that as soon as this is over. But you can click on any of my other videos and you'll find it there. that has been in a link in my description down in the Amazon. I mean, I have it divided into sections. The Cerule link is first, and then I have a books I recommend section, and then all the other stuff from Amazon is underneath that. And the blue blockers are down in that stuff section. Coyotes are afraid of geese as full-grown men are. That could be. Thanks, Bob. I knew you'd have a suggestion. Yeah, just like any other thing that you're going to try and wean down off of, that's probably a way to go, Craig. It's regular ESD wrist strap, few bucks on Amazon. Yeah. Thanks, Mike. Was just, yeah, they make those grounding wrist straps. They've been around for years. They're basically, you ground the wrist strap to something so that if you're working on computer equipment or something, you don't build up a static charge and accidentally short something out in the computer because you got a spark off your hand while you were digging around in the computer's guts. Have you cleared all the stones? And if so, how is the flow? I don't understand the question. If you're talking about my kidney stones, I haven't had a kidney stone in many months now. If you're talking about on my land, I have not been down to my land yet. So you have to be a little bit more specific on that. Yeah, Rex recipe for iguana should work for your rattlesnakes. I agree. I almost fell on a shed antler one day while carrying it, trying to get away from a rattlesnake. I can see that. And Twinbrook Acres is here. Hello, I'm glad you're here. You can't say, but we're walking around at a fair. Something I couldn't do 2 years ago. That's a huge win. Great job. Everybody say huzzah. We're coming up on the end of it here. We've only got a couple of minutes left. If you have any last minute questions, get them in. And in case you have not been here the entire time or have missed it, one more quick shot through because this is the 1 year anniversary of me starting to walk. Here's the clip of me from that video exactly 1 year.
Good morning, everybody. It is September the 1st. I know the video quality is probably a little off because I'm outside, but it's 1% September.
Yep, it just goes to show what a year can do. We have to have vitamin P. These things don't happen overnight. And like I said, I felt really good that day when I started to go out walking. But at that time, I felt so much better than what I'd felt before. And now I am a lot closer to knowing what the, true health feels like. Let's see here. Yeah, I don't think, I had a kidney stone problem 8 months ago. But other than that, everything has been working just fine. Let's see here. Reptile meat should be steamed, cooked in water, or deep fried. Okay, that's a good general rule to follow. So if I kill a rattlesnake, and of course, kill it by chopping off its head and staying away from the head completely until it's dead, and then using a shovel to throw it underground, I should be able to take the rest of it, just dump it in a pot of boiling water and let it boil for an hour, and then the skin should peel off, and what's left should be edible. Happy anniversary. Thank you. Congrats to Bob. Everybody's saying congrats there. I don't see any last-minute questions having come in, so I will take this opportunity to say thank you all for being here today. I really appreciate the support. Don't forget, get out there. Be 1% better today, tomorrow, every day. Have a great day, folks. I will see you in the next one.